Heidi-ho, internet neighbors, welcome back. It's Vorm here to play some Terra Invicta. Well, am I going to play it? I'm going to push buttons and see what happens in Terra Invicta. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to make any claims to being able to play the game, but we're going to revisit it. It's been about a year. I've been keeping my eye on it. I've been subscribed to the Discord the entire time, and I've noticed a continuous stream of updates, very regular. So they've done a ton of work on it. I don't remember all my nitpicks and issues and so on that I had with it back in the last time we played. It definitely needed to bake for a bit longer, and it's been a bit longer. It's been a year. So here we are once again. I'm desperately trying to find something that I can play that you guys will enjoy watching. In a vein that's a little more cerebral and a little less reflex eyesight required. So, you know, less of a shooter, less of an arcade game, more brain power. So I'm going to be rolling through a few of some older games, older being like not even released yet, early access games, but a few games of a more strategy bent, and see if we can find one that both interests me and interests you simultaneously. So I'm warning you up front, if you like Terra Invicta or the type of game and you want to see more of it, make sure you let me know here in chat, over on the YouTube channel, in comments, in Discord, whatever. Because I'm absolutely sure this game's going to have a low audience count, and you're going to have to be, you know, step forward and raise your hand if you really want to see more of it. So I would hate to do a few hours and then take a look at the response for the view counts and all that and say, nope, nobody's interested, moving on. So there you go. That's the situation. It's always true for all of these games that, you know, of certain types, either outside of my normal audience's experience or exposure or, you know, whatever reason. But I really want to like and play Terra Invicta. It's on that list of ones that really checks a lot of the boxes for Vormithrax's desires in a game to play, but it does have some issues, especially with pacing and the amount of gameplay they're trying to weld into this thing. It's like 3 different games smashed into one, and I'm still not convinced they're going to successfully marry all 3 of those together in a way that is seamless and smooth and appropriate. If I play it long enough, you'll know what I mean. But there's 3 basic phases. There's the early game political phase, where you're trying to take control of governments and nations, and you're jockeying with the other factions for control of resources and so on. Whole bunch of moving agents around into countries and doing missions and so on. That then transitions up into the space industry, where we've got to get boost capacity, we've got to get material up into the orbit, we've got to build stations, we've got to get mining on moon, mining on asteroids, and so on, so that we can develop a space industry. That's kind of the second stage or second gameplay element. And while you're doing that, you're having to continue doing the entire earlier game, first section of all the political maneuvering and so on. So you're still doing all that, while then also having to deal with all this other stuff. And then it transitions into yet another totally different, could be a game all by itself phase, where you're actually having to build space navies and go to war in a very, very detailed way with the aliens. All 3 of these could be games unto themselves. And so remember, while you're then finally taking care of building ships and fighting aliens, you're also still having to do all the mining and industry and so on, and you're still also having to move all of your agents around on Earth. So it's a lot, and I'm not sure if they're going to accomplish getting all that smoothed out and keeping the interest level in all 3 levels. So we'll see. Maybe. It does take a while to get out of the early game. We're probably only going to see the early game in this first video because I don't remember enough. So I'll be doing a lot of pushing buttons and reading and looking at stuff. I did play a tiny bit offline just to get the basics of the interface refamiliarized. But, you know, here we go. 5 minutes in, still talking, haven't done anything yet. Let's play Terra Invicta. I will give a brief overview. I just mentioned 3 main game phases, but it's basically present-day Earth, aliens show up, big hoo-ha. There's a bunch of different factions. You can play one of the factions. You're the leader of the faction. They represent kind of archetypal reactions to how to deal with the aliens. So some of them are kill all the aliens, kill all the aliens. Some of them are the aliens are our saviors. Be friendly with the aliens, help the aliens in every way. And then there's like 5 in between those positions. So we're going to play the resistance, the default one. They're kind of resist the aliens, stall for time while we build up Earth's power base and space infrastructure, and then, deal with them appropriately, but in a measured way. And there's a bunch of them, so I don't remember all the details about all the factions, but we're just going to play the standard one. So we're going to hit new game. I'm going to leave all this alone. Modern scenario, the full solar system, all 8 factions, 2022 start. Space objects, all that stuff. We are going to be the Resistance. The other ones are Humanity First, the Initiative, the Servants, the Protectorate, the Academy, and Project Exodus. Exodus is, we should leave the Earth. We've been found. Time to get out of here. So let's build ships and let's go find another planet that we can live on away from the aliens. Academy is the eggheads. The aliens are probably not likely to be hostile because, it's a big universe, and why would they come here to fight us, and so on. I forget the Protectorate's reasonings. The Servants are the ones that think the aliens are gods, and we should do everything the aliens want and help them in every way possible. I forget the Initiative's background. Humanity First, this is the kill all aliens, kill them all, kill them dead, kill them all, then burn the corpses, then bury the ashes, and then nuke the site from orbit. So that's Humanity First. Them I remember. And then there's us, the Resistance. So there you go. Now you know everything you need to know. And you can customize. You can actually build your own. I don't think I've ever hit that button. What's that do? Oh, yeah, look at that. Ooh, fancy stuff. Was that in the game last time? I can't remember if that was in the game last time I kicked this up. I don't... maybe it was, and I never played it enough to really get into that part. But yeah, you can see stuff you can fiddle with. Lots of fun there. All right, we're not going to customize, though. We're... Cancel. We're just going to play the Resistance. Protect humanity by resisting the alien invasion. So this falls into the category of gameplay, and board games do this a bit, and there are some computer games that do it, like AI Wars, where it's absolutely an asymmetric combat situation when you start. Totally asymmetric. The aliens could smush us. Easily smush us. And we have to be very careful how we deal with the alien presence, both on the planet and off the planet in space. You got to be careful because we can only piss them off so much before they ratchet up and do bad things to us that we can't resist. So we gotta delay them. It's all a delaying tactic. So there are going to be times where we would need to hunt down and kill an alien running around on Earth and or blow up a ship in space. But we got to be very, very moderate when we do that and pick our points of contention very carefully because there are certain thresholds where if we push their anger level or whatever they call it, their threat level beyond a certain point, the response is just going to steamroll us. So it's asymmetrical, and we have to be very careful and just kind of build along the edges and be as quiet as possible while we try to raise our combat ability and our industry ability to parity. All right, normal game difficulty. Sure, I'm not going to do the tutorial. I think I remember enough not to need that. Let's hit start. There's going to be some cutscenes and some dialogue. I'm going to go ahead and let that play because a whole bunch of my audience has probably never seen this before. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here and sip some cool water while this plays out. It does still have tremendously long load times. For the type of game it is, it just seems like it's got tremendously long load times. So, I'll chat a little bit while I wait for the cutscenes. And it might be a little loud, so, headphone users beware. Oh, loading. Keep those cutscenes loading. Rawhide. Yeah, a little loud.
We remember the day the stars answered, the day we learned we were not alone. As a familiar sun rose on an unfamiliar universe, some of us saw wondrous possibility and others existential danger. The astronomers had insisted that the bright streak in the sky was no natural phenomenon. Most of us didn't really believe them until it burned through our atmosphere and crashed in a remote region, leaving only wreckage and uncertainty. In our ignorance, we fractured, taking refuge in our most primal emotions. Each of us saw what we wanted to see. Everyone loves heroes, depends on them, to save us from evil, lead us through darkness. Problem is, real heroes are always ignored. What no one understands is that being shot at is easy. The hard part is convincing someone they're drowning before it's too damn late.
Okay, here we go. Intel section reports. UFO crashes on Earth. Where did it land this time? In Brazil. Alright, alien vessel has crashed down in Brazil. While the wreckage is unrecoverable, we suspect an alien life form escaped into the surrounding countryside. Ooh, those alien life forms. They do like to escape.
Greetings, Commander. I am pleased to report the Council has appointed you leader of our organization. I am Fiona Iwade, your Chief of Staff. While most of the world is reacting with fascination at the arrival of an alien species on Earth, we represent a small group who believes the aliens' crash landing and disappearance may signify a potential threat. We intend to build an international organization capable of investigating and, if necessary, combating any danger aliens may pose.
Alright, so, there you go. New objective, investigate the alien crash. Have a counselor conduct the investigate alien activity mission of the crash site. And then here's the alien crash site. UFO crash down site. Cancel that. And we're in the game proper. We can control things. Cancel. Alright, so here we go. We have the Earth. Let's go out to the space. The place that's not Earth. Everything else. So, very cool, solar system to Earth transition map and all that, and all of this is interactable, and all of this is reachable by our ships eventually, so, you know, a lot of stuff out there. This is max zoom out, by the way, and we can zoom in a very long way, and there are a lot of objects out here. We can keep going. And then we're back into our political map. Alright, so there you go. We can use the arrow keys or the mouse to spin the globe. Good representation of the globe. There are a few consolidations or simplifications to the globe, and there is a lot of text and numbers and graphs and charts and so on in this game. It's very text heavy. In addition, it's very world-centric. It's got a lot of countries represented. We have agents from all of them. Tons and tons of names from various nations, various languages and cultures. I guarantee, butcher your hometown's name, your great-grandma's name, and your pet's name. I'll totally get them wrong. I'll butcher them. You know, mitigate the hatred. I'm a dumb American. I only speak American. But I've got a fairly good base of knowledge and learning of cultures and worlds and so on. So I'll probably get a good percentage of them correctly. But there will be errors. just realize that. So when I say it wrong, don't just immediately tell me how I did it wrong and try to explain the particular phoneticizations of your language. So, all right, now that disclaimer's out of the way, and I am free of any and all hatred thrown my way when I say your name wrong. Here we go. So what we're going to do is we're playing the leader of the resistance. It's a faction. We have a particular feeling on how the alien, either menace or opportunity should be dealt with. There are other factions. They have all been generated on this world. The goal at this stage is we are going to use what we call counselors. We have Brian and Mo as our counselors. We're going to use them to execute missions, and we have the missions list down here at the bottom. The counselors themselves, depending on their skills and stats and so on, will have different missions available. I can't explain the entire game. I'm just going to kind of play, and I'll talk about things as they come up a little bit, but I'll try to keep the over-explanations to a minimum. But I need to get the overview in so you know kind of what's going on. So we have 2 agents or counselors, one from the US, one from China, and we are going to use them to try to take over countries so that we can direct their responses to the aliens, utilize their resources, and so on. And we can choose from anywhere in the world. We can exert our influence wherever we want. And we're going to try to get control of more and more powerful nation states. We're going to try to weld together larger confederations, like the European Union, and there are others. There are other possibilities. And there's lots of rules behind how it works and all that. I vaguely remember some of them, but I don't remember all the nitty-gritty details. So, we will be able to get more agents, both immediately and later through a few functions. We'll be able to increase our agent count. I think we can get 4 initially, and then 6 after a little bit of research and some other things that happen. I don't remember if it goes beyond 6. But yeah, and it's basically turn-based. It looks real-time when it's not paused, because when we unpause it, the Earth is going to spin and time is going to pass, but essentially it's turn-based. You have a set of agents, you assign them all missions, you say go, time passes, and then the agents perform their missions. It will then pause for a new mission setup time, and you then reassign your agents to new things, and you let time pass again. So I don't know why they don't have a skip time passage button. I just want a button that I can press that you'll see what I mean, but I always wondered why they didn't have something like that. Interface-wise, we got resources at the top. We'll talk about those later. We got messages. Those messages that popped up on the screen are basically over here now, so it shows us where the crash site is. What else we got? We've begun the resistance and so on. We can just right-click to clear them, or we can click the X to get rid of all of them. This is our list of agents, as well as later we'll have armies at our disposal and nukes and all sorts of stuff. But for the moment, we're just showing agents. This is who I've got selected, of course. This goes to various screens. We have the go to Earth, go to space buttons. We'll click on our council. Here are my two council members. I'll call them agents every time, but they call them council members. So we have Brian and we have Mo. We've got stats. They've got income from their stats and abilities, and it gets more detailed than what you can see here. Let's go to recruit. So here's a list of potential recruits that we can bring onto our council. We are allowed to have 2 more currently, and then we have to develop the clandestine cells tech to get a 5th, and we have to develop covert operations to get a 6th. And these are reserved for counselors of other factions that we have turned to our cause. We don't control them directly, but we can influence what they do. They're still controlled by the faction that owns them, quote unquote, but we can influence their behavior when we turn them. But yeah, so we're going to recruit a 3rd right now. It uses influence, which is this resource, which we don't have a lot of. So we'll only be able to get 1 currently, and some of them cost 30, some of them cost 60. I don't think the 60 ones, I think that's random how much they cost, because there's been plenty of times where the 60s have been terrible. Wow. China's representing. Okay, usually we got a bit of a bigger spread in the nation states. But wow, China has come to play. So yeah, so we'll take a look. What are our guys? I need to look at their strengths real quick. So Brian here is a diplomat by profession, and his stats are Persuasion 7, which is pretty good. Persuasion 7's okay. Investigate, espionage, low to mid administration, essentially no science. He's bringing in a little bit of influence. He's got the government trait, which is important. It's good to have somebody with a government trait. He's connected and he's loss averse. And these all do things and mean things. We'll talk about those later. And then these are the missions he is allowed to do. So everybody has a set list of missions that can be modified through organizations you can attach to them. Like right now, the Wolfhound Forge Corp. Were I to purchase that and attach it to him, we would get some benefits. We'd get some monthly income. And that's pretty much it. We'd get some income of various resource types. But some of these things will give him the ability to do different mission types or all sorts of stuff. So we'll talk about that later. But But yeah, it's important to know about what these missions do because we need certain things that we can do. He can't do, well, he can do Control Nation, and with Persuasion 7, he's okay at it. He can investigate, he can advise, but he's terrible at advising. Yeah, I don't like him. He doesn't have anything in particular that I like other than the government connection and a little bit of persuasion. So let's look at Mo. Hey there, Mo Ping. And Mo has got public campaign with an even higher persuasion. That's going to be important for us. So we need persuasion to do public campaigns, which basically raises our influence or our public opinion for our faction in a nation. By having a higher public opinion, it's easier for us to then try to control the nation's control points. You'll see what that means. These two are important. So she's going to be good at that. This guy he doesn't even have, man, I don't know what I'm going to have this guy do. He's really not too special about anything. All right, well, we'll deal with it. It's all randomized, so sometimes you get really good ones, sometimes you don't. We have no science ability. She's got good admin. I like her a lot. She's got both persuasion, or public campaign, and control nation. She's got a good administration, which is really important for having these assigned. The higher the admin, the more of these you can control. So I like her. She's got a good focus. This guy is the unfortunate one. So we need to fill some gaps. I'm thinking we need we need both, but we need a scientist, somebody high in science, and we're going to need kind of an espionage, investigation, command-focused character. So we'll see who we have available, and we'll pick somebody to come in. So cancel, go back to recruit. What do we got? Activist, tech mogul. Tech mogul with only 5 admin. That's a terrible tech mogul. We have an executive we can't afford. A rebel, a professor with 6 science, 7 perception, or persuasion. I keep saying perception for that one. We have a kingpin. Ooh, look at this kingpin. 5, 6, 8, 5, 7. 0 science again, but 11 security as well. All right, we got to look at this guy. What do you got? Detain counselor. Unfortunately, we don't have investigate to go with the detain. Does have hostile takeover though, so we can detain enemy counselors, and then we can steal away their organizations is what that combo does. But we need another one that's an investigate counselor, which he doesn't have. We'd have to have somebody else do that part. Problem is going to be, I mean, he has control nation, only 5 persuasion. He could work on the easier ones for me. For controlling nation when we're not trying to take down enemy counselors and steal their crap. Loyalty is tough to pin down. It's apparent loyalty. It's not actual loyalty. So you got to investigate your own folks to find out what their current actual loyalty is. So it's a little tough. Increase unrest, steal project, assassinate, sabotage. We can purge. But again, persuasion of 5. I'd have to get his persuasion up, which wouldn't be too hard if we can get some administrations attached to him, some of those orgs. All right, he's a maybe. I kind of like the kingpin. Then we got a judge down here with high mid to high level persuasion. Stop saying perception. I'm used to perception being a stat in a lot of games and role-playing games and board games, not so much persuasion. So every time I see my brain in my mouth immediately says perception. Stupid role-playing conventions. So yeah, persuasion, investigation, espionage, command, administration, science, and security. So investigation of 7, huh? Judge has got control nation with a better persuasion, so that part's good. Got detain counselor and investigate. The problem here is he's got these 2, but then not the one that lets us actually grab the hostile takeover. So it's hard to find somebody that's got all 3, investigate, detain, and hostile takeover in one character. So usually I end up having to combine. So we can afford the judge. So 6 admin, 7 persuasion, I'm good. Investigation 7. Espionage and command and science we'd still be really short on. But I might take him as a third. And then try to get either the kingpin or get a scientist when we have the next opportunity. Because these are going to rotate. They're going to change out after a period of time. So who else do we have? 7, 5, 4... And it's very important to look at both the stats and the missions. Because sometimes you'll have somebody with great stats, but they'll have absolutely no missions that you can do anything with them, and they're just trash. We got a 6 scientist. Tech mogul. Hostile takeover. That's pretty normal for a tech mogul and kingpins to have that. Also has the public campaign. Only 4 persuasion. Wouldn't be great at it, but could get something done. Oh, there we go. That's somebody I would love to fill in, but again, no science. But 7 espionage, 7 command, 7 security. Turn counselor. Yeah, I don't know. I think... The judge here's also got the government connection. I'd kind of like somebody on the criminal side, though. Does that mean I'm looking at the kingpin again? He's got the criminal flag. Government and criminal kind of flip sides of each other, and there's a lot of orgs that require one or the other. I don't remember enough about the rest of these. Like untouchable. There's a lot of layered things that could be really important or really harming that I don't remember. A lot of details to know and to be familiar with. What do we go for our third? Early, it's all about the political stuff. We're not really going to start mixing it up with the enemy counselors and stuff, so I think I'm going to hold off on trying to get the other ones. Let's go for... God, if he just had better... He's got almost no missions outside of the common ones that other people can do. I was hoping for somebody else that had the ability to persuade. For public campaigning. Yeah, I don't like all of these. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning to the judge. He doesn't fill any gaps, though. That's what I'm kind of worried about, other than the investigate, detain. Let's go for it, though. Another government guy, demanding, wealthy elder statesman, cynic, earthbound, and lone wolf. So they do level up, and you can increase their stats. You can give them other abilities. So Plus, we already have somebody from China, which allows me to... Yeah, that's actually a big consideration. That allows me to get orgs. Either have to have a control point or a counselor who's born in that nation in order to get certain orgs. I'd really... But that limits me to these two. Maybe we'll go with Tech Mogul. Let's go with Tech Mogul. He's middling, but he's got decent science and admin, so I can build on him. He's also got 5 investigation, which I didn't have much of, so we can do public campaign and control nation with him, which is going to be important early. And then he'll be my hostile takeover specialist, because we can buff him with the admin. The admin points lets me put orgs on him, which could then buff admin, which lets me put more orgs on him, which could buff admin, which lets me put more orgs on him. And so we can, over the long term, we can buff this guy up into some interesting things, and he would fill my hostile takeover slot. And then we'll pick somebody else later when we need it to do the rest of the stuff. But in the early game, he can at least do these 2 things. Plus, it gets us a different nation that we have a counselor from. All right, decision is made. Let's move on. We're recruiting. All right, so we have August, our tech mogul. So that's that part of the game. So we need somebody to go investigate. So we have... excuse me. Let's look at the list again. So Brian has got my... He's going to go investigate. The other 2 are going to go influence nations because he doesn't have that option. So we're going to send Brian to investigate the crash site. So Brian... Oops. Stop it. Alright, so we got Brian selected. We're going to say, where is it? That one. Investigate alien activity. And there's only one, so we can click this to get a list of locations. And it's very important to make sure you know which country you have selected, because I commonly will send guys to the wrong place just because of the way the interface works. So just be very careful to know which one's actually selected when you give a mission. Alright, so we're going to say yes.
To the target site.
So he's now flown to that location, and we got 2 more. So now we need to talk about what is our goal. What's our goal here? Who are we going to try to take over? That's a big conversation, and I'm going to shorten it a bit because I know what I want to try to do. Same thing I did last time, and which is a pretty common play. We're going to try to get into the U.S. We're going to try to take control of the U.S. It's one of the hardest ones to get. The harder one is China, but U.S. has got its difficulties. Difficulty of taking them over is largely based on the GDP, which controls their control points, numbers, and difficulty, and so on. And there's a lot to know, but let's go to the nation screen real quick. And the thing just to look at, ignore most of this. This column and this column are the ones we want to look at. This column shows our influence for our faction. That's the symbol for our faction within that particular country. I'm going to click on it, and we can see that in Colombia, we've got 33%, Mali 32%, anywhere on, oh, we got 25 in Mexico. That's a very important piece of information right there. So we got a good foothold in Mexico. We're the leading faction in Mexico. That's great for us because we need to have control of Mexico and Canada, and by doing so, we get influential bonus percents added to our attempts to then get into the U.S. I can't just go straight for the U.S. It's too hard. The numbers are too small. It can't be done. You got to take Mexico and preferably Canada as well. Once you got control of those, you get adjacency bonuses, and then you start raising public opinion in the U.S. and eventually start trying to control the points. So that's good news for us. We got a good start in Mexico. We'll hit that one first, or one of the ones we'll hit first. Anywhere else? Once it hits 4%, that's the standard. I don't go any further than that. So it looks like Mexico. All right, so we're going to focus on Mexico. If we look at this number, this shows the highest percentages, period, among all the factions. So North Korea and, Humanity First, the nuke them all till they glow. They've always got a strong foothold here. A lot of this is randomized, but it's randomized within certain top and bottom points. So North Korea is always going to have a really high Humanity First. I don't know all the numbers, but you'll see the Academy usually has a really high one. 79% is the Academy. So that symbol is the Academy. They start really high in a lot of nations, but there's going to be an event coming up in the not too distant future where they're going to get besmirched and they're going to have a big drop in their influence. So, any of the really big nations, Russia's on that list. Academy's really high in Russia. They'll probably focus their attempts there. After that, it's dropping pretty fast. Japan's a big one. This is the number of control points, by the way. So figured this is like the strength of the nation's economy, the GDP. All right, I don't see anything else I'm going to be too worried about for now. So, but here's our strategy. We want the U.S. Can't go after it directly. We're going to go after Canada. We're going to have to go after Mexico and one other. We're going to go after Kazakhstan. So here's Kazakhstan. And this is the reason we're going after Kazakhstan, right there. The Baikonur Cosmodrome. So Kazakhstan has a huge boost facility with the Cosmodrome. 30 boost per year. That is very large. If we go back to nations and we show boost. Come on, click it again. Oh, this is per month, basically. So it's broken it down on a per month basis. But it's higher than the U.S., so, yeah, that's where they're getting most of that boost. The Russia is getting it from Kazakhstan. You can see there, it's a huge one. So we're going to try to control a significant percentage of the world's boost capacity for getting product into orbit. So we're going to go after Kazakhstan. Currently, Kazakhstan is mostly the Academy, 30% the Academy. Everybody else is all down there in the 2 to 3% range. So we're going to put a focus on trying to control Kazakhstan and Mexico. Usually I try to do Canada, Mexico, but I want to secure Kazakhstan as soon as possible. Oh no, that's the real place. Oh yeah, it's very real. So this is the world as per 2022. I mean, here is Russia, Ukraine with little tanks firing. So it's very much the modern world representation, just, you know, boiled down and simplified for gameplay purposes. We've got the Benelux, so we've got Benelux, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. They are conjoined into the Benelux region, just for ease of gameplay. And I'm sure there's a few other consolidations and or simplifications in the geography or the nation states, so for gamification purposes. Okay, so normally I try to go Canada, Mexico right away. So I'd have one counselor here raising opinion, one counselor here raising opinion, until I felt I had good enough numbers to try to control the nations. It gets trickier because if I try to go for Kazakhstan, because that means I have to not go after one of these two, and I'm anxious to make sure I secure both, so nobody else gets in there before I can, ruining my I need both to crack the U.S. So if I can get this quick enough, we'll try it. So right now, if we click on that and we have Mo, the number to look for is perception or persuasion. That's what's going to influence the percentages here. But if I click Control Nation, right now we're at a 54% success rate, and I can increase that by spending additional influence points, which I might do. I might actually dump a bunch of influence points. I've only got 20 currently, so I got to be careful. But if I can secure this immediately, this would be huge, and then I could turn my attention over to the other two and start raising our influence there. The other option, instead of doing that, is we can do public campaign. So if we do public campaign here, our success rate is pretty low unless we throw money into the campaign. You know, more money is always useful for that purpose. So we have 200 monies. We could throw cash at it. And what this is going to do is it's going to try to raise our public opinion here, which will then make it easier for us to do the takeover. So if we switch to control, ooh, he's only got 15%. Wow. Wait, that's a huge difference. How does... Oh, he's at 4 perception, that's why. Yeah, I told you, he's not very good at it. Yeah. I think what I'll do, I'll let Canada sit for a turn. The important thing here, there's so many important things, and I don't want to chat you guys to death, but an important consideration is the fact that there are 2 control points in Kazakhstan. The reason this is important is because you have to take one of the lower control points, one of the left-hand control points, before you're allowed to take this final one, which is called the executive control point. in order to take this, you must own one of the earlier ones. If you only have 2 possible, as soon as I secure this one, nobody's allowed to try to take that one unless they oust me from the country's other control point and take it for themselves. So if I can just get this first one, lock it down, then I can move my character and start working on the other nation and later come back and take this one. So, yeah, he's only one of my control nation, guys. Settle down.
At your service.
I got another control nation. She's good at it. So he's just doing it while we wait for him to get other things going. All right, so we're going to have Mo do her control nation here. I am going to jack that percentage up. It doubles every time. So 1 point, 2 points, 4 points, 8 points, 16 points. That's the max I could spend. I'm going to go with 4 points to get a 78% success chance.
We'll be running this place in no time.
All right, so she is now assigned. She's in the right spot. Everything's good. So 2 of our counselors are done. But that's my hope. If we can succeed at that 78%, and basically what's going to happen is when I say go, time's going to pass. She'll eventually execute her mission. And there's all the mission types execute at different phases. So some missions happen before other missions. So you can have situations where you think you have 78%, but some other agent from another faction is in the same region, and they successfully influence or raise their own faction's influence, lowering yours, which then lowers your chance for your later mission to succeed. So it can get a little interesting. But we're just going to roll percentage dice. If we roll between 1 and 78, we succeed, and we're going to get this control point, which is really critical. All right, so we're done there. Let's get over to Mexico. Hey, Mexico. We're going to be sending August over here to Mexico, and he's going to be doing just a public campaign. 29% starting success rate. All right, let's throw money at it. Let's throw $20 to get a 50-50 chance. Actually, what's our 16%? Even if I throw points at it? Yeah, we can't do that. All right, let's switch back over to public campaign. We'll throw $20 at it, get a 50% chance. Confirm mission. All right, so for all that talking, that's really all that needed to happen. If I weren't explaining how the game works and such, all I had to do is do those 3 things, and we're done. There's nothing else for us to do. So down here are the missions that whatever counselor you've got selected has available to them specifically, and you can check percentages and all that kind of stuff, and then pick who you want to do what. Pretty straightforward. We got our Earth and space maps, our counselors, the nation list where you can get a breakdown of a bunch of stuff, HABs in orbit, which we aren't going to yet, fleets and ship construction. Oh yeah, we do have something else we got to do. Research and development. All right, this will be quick. The top 3 are worldwide research projects. All countries, all factions are contributing to these simultaneously. Whoever contributes the highest amount of science points total when it finishes, the one that contributed the largest number of science points to that project gets to pick the next project to replace this one with. So it is important as time goes by to try to be the person that contributed the most as many times as you can, so you can direct the world research to the ones that you think are critical to your cause. So there's 3 projects. We got We Are Not Alone, Global Research Skywatch, and Mission to Space. And then the bottom 3 are your faction's personal research. And you start with 1, and you can unlock 2 more as time goes by through what it says here. So basically, you have a certain number of points, and you spend them by putting little check or little red boxes to indicate how much you want to put in. If I'm only spending in one project, it doesn't matter how much I click on it. It's 100%. So I'm only generating 1.25 per day, essentially. No matter which box I click, because it's the only project, it's going to be 100%. As soon as I click another box, then it splits 3 to 1, so 75% and 25%. And that's how it works. So you just basically click boxes until you get the percentages you want. I'm going to put which one? We Are Not Alone, Global Skywork. Let's go ahead and do that one. I'm going to go 2 points there and 1 point here, so we're doing a 67-33 split. We'll monitor this and see what our number looks like, and see if we can time it so that we can get the lead on it and pick the next one. And then audience research, I can change which project I want to do. There's reasons to do them, and more are going to be added to the list shortly. For the moment, I'm going to pick, audience research. Basically, it gives me 25 influence when we complete it. So we need 100 total research points allocated, at which point I'll get rewarded 25 influence. Some of these are repeatable, but they cost more and more each time to get the same reward. So this is for influence. This one is for cash. This one is to increase this number here, which we're going to talk about later. And then operations gets you security points to run security operations. Stuff with guns, usually. But yeah, let's do audience research, try to get a little bit more of that. So select project. We're all set. There's the research screen. And then intel. So this is our intel on the other factions. We don't know anything yet. We'll get more here pretty quick. All right, we'll look at that later. This is our timer, the date, fast forwarding, and so on. All right, I think we're all set. Let's confirm assignments. Then we'll say start, and we'll speed things up. Oh, wait. A whole bunch of filters, basically. World filters. Back to nations. All right. And let's speed time up. We're just waiting for the time to pass and for events and missions to complete. Operations sections reports 1 humanity. Growing realization we're not the sole sapient species in the universe is causing many to see their fellow humans in a new light, leading to hopes that we can overcome our capacity for strife to address the alien arrival as one people. So, event unlocked, Wave of Fear triggers the following effects. All nations gain 1 cohesion. Basically, people are drawing together to focus their efforts. Cohesion is a stat for the nations. I'm not going to talk about it right now. All right, select management team. Basically, this is pick a bonus. So we can either pick a bonus that increases our influence by 3 for a period of time, gives us more research income, gives us more, we gain 50 operations points. That one right there, or money. Monthly income increases. I'm going to go lobbyists and influencers. I think it's all about the influence early game. I'm sure experts are going to tell me I'm totally wrong, but, you know, we're going to do what we know. Public campaign mission success. Hey, our public campaign in Mexico. We had a 49% chance. We rolled a 45. As long as you roll lower than your success chance, that's how it works. Support here is changed by 7%, so we moved it from 25 up to 32, which is going to make our later rolls easier. We're going to then, you've got options here. I could say repeat and continue. That basically tells that particular agent to do that same mission next time. I'm going to say that, and continue means just keep rolling the time forward. Come on, Kazakhstan. Come on, Kazakhstan.
We found something.
Investigate alien activity mission has been complete. We've learned some useful information and received a small bonus to our xenology research going forward. That's all that happens there.
We have
Continue.
found something, Commander.
All right, investigated the objective. Despite heavy security, able to obtain some surveillance records. We should have a project ready to research shortly. So we've gained 20 influence and 20 research points, and a new project is going to appear in our tech list that we can choose for our personal stuff. Yep, right there. New objective, research alien signatures. We'll do that. We'll switch to that when we next have control. Come on, Kazakhstan. Yes! Yes! Ha! Ha! All right. We had a 79% chance. We rolled 70. As long as it's below, it's a success, and we're good to go. All right, that's great. Now we control it as long as I can keep it. There are counselor missions that can oust us, so I need to spend at least one more turn trying to lock this thing down to make it harder for them to do that, and then I'm going to move this person over to Mexico, and we're going to start trying to control Mexico right away. All right, so continue. New project available. Sure. No. Yeah, let's do that first. All right, so change project, alien signatures, only takes 25 points. Allows the faction to detect alien abductions on Earth. So we'll switch our research to that one. We don't lose any progress. It saves the progress of the previous one. My understanding is they do not. That's a variable you have to reset. So they'll have the same mission, but you need to go in and you need to tweak it. So You'll always be able to tweak it. It just keeps them, it presets that mission as their choice. So right there, you can see he's still preset to do that mission, but I have the option to go in there and adjust it. So if we go public campaign, he's only got a 29%. I can now go ahead and adjust it as needed without having to reselect it and without having to move him or anything. So it's of limited utility, but I can't see them doing it any other way with that variable of how much of a resource to spend. Okay, so let's go look at Kazakhstan. What does it mean that we have taken that control point? So you can see now we have our flag, our symbol for our faction. Kazakhstan control point number 2, the oligarchs. Controlling faction is the resistance. This does a few things. When we select, let's see, where is... There we go, priorities, that's what I'm looking for. There's a lot of info on this screen. The nations and how they work and all these numbers, they mean a lot. And I can't explain most of them coherently without, you know, I could explain a lot, but it would take me a really long time. Each control point I hold, and remember, some nations have up to 6 control points. The biggest ones have 6. But each one that I control, I can influence the spending in that nation, the allocations. So there's going to be a certain number of points available, investment points. They're going to get distributed among the categories that I indicate using this little PIP system. So you can see a lot of details about the nation, what their education level is, what their cohesion level is, the public opinion of the various factions. So we're still far behind all of the other ones. We need to raise our public opinion here. Otherwise, the Academy is going to have a much easier time of coming in and getting us out of this. But we're only 2%. So we kind of brute forced our way in here. I need to change that over time. And you can see little highlights on certain things. So let's see. Their GDP, their per capita GDP, their inequality level. There's a lot of stuff. I don't think I need to worry about boost for a while. If we get them in America, we're going to have a significant amount of boost. Actually, mission control I might want. No armies, definitely no armies, no nukes. Funding one is, yeah, government and private efforts, support space programs. We're going to say no to that one too. We're going to narrow this down to just about one thing. Let's see. I do want to bring unity or cohesion level. 5 is what I'm aiming for. And they want a certain amount of spoils. I don't want to give spoils. Internal security and military technology. If anybody comes after me militarily, these guys we're screwed. So that's not really going to help. You guys want a minimum of 2? All right, we'll do that one. We'll let a little bit of spoils. This will also put a little bit of money in my pocket. This is the extraction of wealth outside of the established economy. Theft, graft, misallocations, environmental damage, things like that. So you don't generally want it, but some because of the ratings, some places you need to have a certain amount, otherwise you're going to have a hard time with stuff. So I'm still going to ignore military, but we'll do a little bit of spoils, and I think that's it. So with the few pips we have, we're putting pretty heavy allocation percentages, and it works on the same system as the research. It's just how many pips is going to adjust the percentages. All right, let's not fiddle with that anymore, but that's one of the things it lets me do. So if I can grab the other control point, we'll be able to do the same thing for this one as well. And we'll have full control over the country. So we're not quite there. So the important things we need to do with Kazakhstan: raise our factions relationship, get control of both points, and if we select or we highlight this right in the middle where it says leave federation, I got to get these guys out of the Eurasian Union before it gets formed. Or maybe it is formed. I forget exactly how this works, but I need to basically get both control points. Then I have to wait a certain period of time before I'm allowed to do any of these national policy actions, and I need to get this instigated as quick as possible. I need to wedge them out of the Eurasian Union. That way I don't lose control of the country when the Union decides to do whatever it decides to do. So that's the long-term goal here. Control the Cosmodrome, of course, raise influence, and so on. But we're done with that for the moment. So that's Mo. That's Mo. We want Mo to head over to Mexico. Control nation, Mexico. We're starting at 46% with Mo. I could just sit here and do a 50-50 roll each turn. We're at 47 influence now because we got a couple of bumps. So I'm going to spend 4, get it to a 75%. We're going to go for the first control point in Mexico.
Bringing them on board.
And then Brian, we're going to send up to Canada, and we're going to start doing... Oh, yep, Brian can't do that. Crap. Alright, let's actually move August. August, I do want you to do a public campaign, but I want you to start up here in Canada. I think Mo will be able to get Canada without further influence bumps. Let's get you started up here. Let's throw some money at it. We got 163. Let's throw 20 bucks.
I will tell our story.
And what am I gonna do with Brian? I could send Brian, let's see, control, defend. So I might send him over to Kazakhstan to do defend interests. It fortifies our control points against enemy crackdowns, purges, and coups. Duration decreases with the number of control points we are protecting. And it costs influence to do, but it's very important that I don't let anybody peel me out of Kazakhstan before I can really weld our support there. Yeah, let's, I can't think of anything better to do with Brian right now. The other option, he's not good at this, but if I send him to the right place, he could actually take control of something. One thing I could do for funses is I could go after Iraq or Iran. Solely, you know, for the cash. So, if we go for Iran or Iraq, the goal would be just to take them. They only have a couple of control points. Well, Iran's actually pretty big, got 3. If we started with Iraq and we actually got control of it, I could turn it on 100% spoils, turn everything off, and we could just leech cash out of it for a while. I'd eventually have to abandon it and hope somebody else takes it over to release my control point numbers. So something I haven't talked about, an extremely important metric is this right here, your control point cap. You're only allowed to control a certain number of control points before you hit the cap, at which point you start having escalating negative effects by being over your cap. So if I'm going to try to swallow the US alone is probably going to cap me out because it's so big and has such a high GDP. By the time I control all 6 control points in this place, my cap is probably going to be saturated. I hope I can get that and Kazakhstan, and sometimes, when I played it previously, I was able to keep control of Canada, but I always have to end up giving up Mexico if I'm going to do all that. And the Canada is the optional one. I know I can squeeze in the US and the Kazakhstan connection, but Canada can be tricky to hold while keeping all the rest of that, unless I can raise this number significantly. So that's one of the big considerations. But like I said, I could, in a short-term bid, send Brian over to see if we can get a lucky capture on Iraq and then just try to squeeze money out of it while we wait on our acquisition of the U.S. And then we'd give it up later when we need to free up some control points. So what would our numbers be if we tried this? 48% without any influence spend? Have I won this game before? Oh, absolutely not. The farthest I've made it is the early industrialization of space. That's the furthest I've made it when we played previously. I got up into space. I got mining on the moon. I think I had just secured mining on an asteroid. One of the first ones to do that when I stopped playing. I don't remember exactly what made me stop playing. There were a lot of issues. This was back when it first released, and it was pretty rough. But that's as far as I got. I never fired a shot from a ship or built a warship or anything like that. So we'll see how far I get this time. All right. So do we try this, or we do we go secure our numbers over in Kazakhstan? I think I'm gonna leave this alone. Let's go try to defend in Kazakhstan. Let's not do this strategy. It just mucks things up. It sounds simple, but what ends up happening is I take these, I get money for a while, which is helpful, but not like, oh my god, I have so much money I can do anything I want. It's helpful. But then when you release your claims, you still have to pay, you still actually have the control of them until somebody else comes and takes them from you. And that could take a while. And so you're stuck not getting any of the benefits, but still being locked out of the control points. So, I haven't looked at the orgs yet. We'll look at them in a second. I wanted the first turn to go by and had some of the event stuff settle out. All right, so let's go over to Kazakhstan. And we'll have Brian here. Whoops, I keep clicking on that. We'll have Brian here to defend interests in Kazakhstan. Gonna cost me some precious influence.
Securing our control.
So, missions for your counselors are a resource just like these resources. You got to very carefully consider because you're limited to one mission per turn per counselor. You could be doing something else that's critical. So you always got to consider both your resource expenditure, but also the resources of your counselor's actions. Certain actions are also going to raise their notoriety level, making them easier to be influenced or captured or detained or so on by other factions' agents. So occasionally when you do high-profile stuff, you have to go to ground for a while and let them bleed off some of that effect. All right, all the agents are done. Let's go ahead and look at orgs. So currently we only have the Wolfhound Forge Corp. Give us a little bit of cash income. Give us one. That little gear icon in the bottom corner is for the research projects. One additional, I think, research project we could do. And then we get, +1 to science, +1 to security for him, and 1% military research bonus. So that's what the monthly income, those little symbols that say +1, +1, that's literally raising his science by 1 and his security by 1. So that's how you can buff these guys up, through the attachment of organizations. So you can make some people really powerful if you can get the right orgs attached to them. And then especially if they keep raising admin, which lets you put more orgs on them, and you can make some super characters. We're going to try to do that, but this one's that's the only one we have access to currently. So a lot of these are out of my influence range. This one doesn't. This one just costs 90 money. We've got 163 money, so that's why this one's available. That one, all the rest of them cost big piles of influence, so we can't buy any of those. And then they might have additional ones like the Directorate General for External Security, headquartered in Paris. So, counselor must have either government faction or must have a control point in France or a counselor from there. That's why I was hesitant to get a second counselor from China, because we've got China covered for that particular purpose. But by getting that, notice it says missions granted. If we got that on somebody, all of a sudden they would have investigate, surveil, detain, and crackdown options added to their mission list, which is huge. So these are extremely important. And these were also one of the things that really, really irritated me. There were some bugs, some issues, some presentation problems back when I last played. The limitation is supposed to be whatever your admin is, this guy can have attached to him that number of stars in organizations. So he could have a 2 and a 2, or he could have a 3 and a 1, whatever combo. But what was happening was, I think they had an earlier system that used decimals because it would constantly not let me do a 2 and 2 for a 4 guy. I just couldn't do it. As soon as I raised to 5, I could do it. And I kept experimenting. It was obvious there were decimals involved in the actual numbers instead of just having a flat 2-star, 3-star representation. And so it was really irritating to have somebody with 4 but not be able to put 4 points on him. So I don't know if they fixed it or not. We're gonna find out here eventually. But that was one of the things that really bothered me. All right, so we can't do any orgs that I really want to do right now. Yeah, and I don't actually have to put this org on this guy. So the org itself doesn't have any requirements. So I could buy it, and I could put it on any of my guys. As you can see, it stays lit up, so all 3 of them could have it. So do I want somebody to have 1 science and 1 security right now? Not really. I guess the tech mogul wouldn't be terrible for it. I'm going to need money to throw cash at my United States public campaigns, though. And it would take me too long to recoup that. I'd be getting 1 money back per month, roughly, a little over that. And it's going to cost me 90 cash to buy it. So that's quite a long payback on that one. Oh, I know. I mentioned the research project. I got to focus all my points on the few right now. I don't have enough to really spread out between new projects anyway. I'm going to hold off. Alright, let's bail out. That's the last thing I want to talk about. Let's go ahead and lock in the assignments. And let time pass.
Securing our interests.
Defend interest missions complete. I put the right people in the right places, and our control of Kazakhstan is now protected until 15 January 2024. Alright, so that's good. Enemy factions trying to wrest control from us. There will suffer significant penalties. That's the whole point of that mission. By spending that, we have now increased our defense of that region. So it's going to be hard for anybody. So we've now got some time that I can go spend elsewhere. Go ahead and continue. Oh, the Steel Org one is awesome. That's exactly the one. That thing is super powerful. If you can combine it with a good amount of, investigate, detain. you gotta find them, you gotta research them, then you gotta detain them, and then you send in the guy to hijack their org. Alright, so the UN Security Council has met to discuss the alien arrival. Again, we have 3 choices. This is how we want our faction to either announce or not announce, or sort of slyly announce our presence behind the scenes. So we can remain in the shadows, and we'll gain 30 op points by being stealthy and not hollering, hey, we're the resistance, join our cause. We can quietly steer support to the resistance, and then it splits it. We get 25 influence, 15 of the ops. Or we can say, here we are, here's our manifesto, gain 50 influence, but it triggers the following effects. Grants a public opinion boost for the resistance around the world, but a great deal of information about us is going to be exposed to our enemies. So we're going to become more visible to the enemy factions, but we'll get a big boost of support and get some influence to spend. So, let's go. I think we'll just deliver our manifesto. Let them come. I want the influence. We need to lock down certain things.
Our cause is unjustified.
We failed in Canada. Had 58%, rolled a 63.
We failed to take control.
81, we rolled a 94. Damn it, Mo. Damn it. Alright, enemies are planning. So we're going to be moving him out. The org marketplace is updated, so new orgs available. We'll check that. Let's go redo these. These aren't going to change, so we're at 81% without me doing anything. Alright, Mo. I'm going to let that roll. And, Brian. Oh, that's August. Hey, August.
At your service.
Try again, please. You wasted my money last time.
We must persuade the people.